So to see the memorial vigils for Charlie Kirk, remembering the great political and civil rights leader just assassinated. Trump announces security forces and a lot of stuff going on. Here is Erica Kirk.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Very poignant, emotional, and I hope extremely true words from Erica Kirk. And if that battle cry rings not only across the United States, but the world, Charlie Kirk will live. If we don't, Charlie Kirk dies. And it's just that simple. From London, England, which had scheduled a freedom rally by Tommy Robinson, but I believe it went from probably 40 or 50,000 to 100,000 because of Charlie Kirk. Elon Musk piped in, said, hey, if you let this go, they're going to own you. And we can, if you value that freedom, very t-shirt Charlie wore when he took his last breath. Just like Erica Kirk. You should resolve that the fire is lit in you like you've never seen before. So I hope we all take this to heart. We get to the vigil in Riverside, but there was in Washington, D.C. This is Tulsi Gabbard. We thought.
Carefully to everyone. Even when others in the crowd booed whoever was speaking, he told them to be quiet and to let this person speak, to show them respect. And he engaged in that lively debate. He encouraged it, he welcomed it, and he inspired it in others. Not belittling them, not arguing just to argue, but to have a real, sincere dialogue. You know, I've said many times, and every soldier lives this fact, this truth. I may disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death for your right to say it. Charlie lived by this principle. Charlie lived by the principle that no matter how horrible another person's speech may be, their ideas must be defeated by better ideas. not by resorting to violence.
Defeat the enemy's ideas by better ideas. That isn't by shutting somebody up or shouting them down. It's doing exactly what Charlie did, was engage in the debate. You're not going to win every point. The other people have valid points. Some very not so valid too. And that's the ones you got to defeat. And you will be surprised, maybe, hopefully, by what you will learn by having honest discourse. If you sit at a round table, put aside all the other BS. It's Royism 101. You'll find you have much more common ground with your fellow man than you have differences. And when you start at that point, your differences are much easier to solve. And that's what we need to strive for. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has seen political assassinations up front, personal, his dad, political assassination right here in Los Angeles, California. His uncle, who was president of the United States, was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, 1963. Here's Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I had a conversation once with Charlie where we were talking about the danger that we both face, challenging entrenched interests. And he asked me if I was scared to die. And I said to him, there's a lot worse things than dying. And one of those achievement.
There is a lot worse things than dying. If you don't stand for what's right and you're not willing to sacrifice it all, that's worse than dying. Don't acquiesce to evil, the tyrants, the dictators, the shouters, the violent. No, stand and look them in the eye and say, you know what, buddy? It's you or me.
Among those is losing our constitutional rights and having our children raised in slavery.
Losing our constitutional rights. It's what the Second Amendment is all about. It's about your right to defend yourself against a tyrannical government, quasi-government, shadow government, taking your right away for freedom. That shirt Charlie wore on his last day.
I said to him at that time, I said, sometimes our only consolation is that we can die with our boots on. We can die fighting for these things.
That's exactly what Charlie did. 1.5 million in the history, the 249-year history, have fought, bled, and died for this country, for your right to have that freedom, that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And they died with their boots on. And I'm sure if you would ask them today, they would tell you it was well worth it. And they have the ultimate respect that can be espoused on any human being.
Charlie gave his life so that the rest of us would not have to suffer those fates worse than death. Now it's our job. He's no longer there to lead us, to rush in and fill the breach and win this battle for our country, for God, and for our families. That's what
So it's up to us to fill that breach, to stand up stronger than we ever have before and fight the good fight like hell, like you've never fought it before. If we do that, Charlie Kirk lives. If we hide in the corner, cower and say, please don't hurt me, Charlie Kirk dies. Just run across this. This is the name callers. You may be surprised, maybe not. Anderson Cooper and
Tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
when somebody says something twice, they're doing it because they want that to stick in your head and they really mean it. The incitement, the language, the violence, you will Trump say later on, is coming predominantly from these radical left-wing coup totalitarian dictator tyrants and we must. It's imperative that we stop them before they run us completely over. This is at the Riverside rally. Well, a vigil, I guess I should say, for Charlie Kirk. This is another Erica who knew Charlie. Let's see if it will play now.
Democrat. I moved to California and I turned red.
There's Erica, a lifelong Democrat from New York, moved to California and's wearing the MAGA hat. Shows you it can be done anywhere, any place, anytime. And if you don't, we're going to get into this, the teachers and that, but if you don't believe this, if you don't believe they're after your kids, Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, Chavez, Castro, the list goes on. Go after the kids. Here's a 15-year-old student, high schooler, at the rally.
I'm 15 years old and I want to come into agreement with the sisters for the next generation. And I want to say that I was indoctrinated by American teachers who were not true Americans and they did not believe in freedom. And they manipulated us and they indoctrinated us with lies. And I want to thank my mother and my youth team here recording me for helping me, but I also want to thank Charlie because he exposed the truth and he wasn't afraid to share the truth. And I'm majoring in political science.
Majoring in political science. 15 years old. She's telling you in the schools, and you're hearing these reports all over the country. On top of them, we're going to get into this in a minute. The radicalization of American education and the teachers and how it's turned. She told you they're indoctrinating you. And thank goodness for her mom and her faith and Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. At 15 years old, she had the gumption to come up there and talk between them. There's probably about 400 people there in Riverside. We're going to get into the teachers part. If this doesn't get you off your dead rear ends, I don't know what will. But if we don't fix education, the United States of America, as we know it, is doomed. 1000%. For those that don't want to talk politics, and you see that a lot, they'll post on their blogs or their page or the admins or their report you this. Do you not want to talk about politics now? That's what I'm seeing. Not only in Riverside, Huntington Beach, San Clemente turned out thousands. Washington, D.C., London, England. It's about time more Americans got some spine, like that 15, 17, and 19-year-old girls that spoke at the vigil in Riverside. And they're telling you, K through 12, university level, they are indoctrinating your kids. Your kids are sitting in those classrooms right now, 35 hours a week. Do you want to wake up or have the police visiting your home, wake up and have the headlines coming up from your son or daughter that Mr. and Mrs. Robinson are having right now? It's imperative for their future that you do this. Or you're going to see more of this. And I will say, yes, we are not the same. But a Charlie Kirk vigil versus a George Floyd riot. And the fact that we allowed the George Floyd riots to progress and to be there is just one reason why Charlie Kirk suffered an assassin's bullet. This is the second one in a row. What was it, the last school shooting in Minneapolis? Got a gay dude with his tranny, furry boyfriend. Second one in a row. These are kids that have been indoctrinated, just like those teenagers that spoke, three of them, three, in Riverside last night. They've been indoctrinated, call it grooming, taught by teachers with tattoos and crap and piercings and purple hair, look like they're on the verge of vagrancy. They dress like they've been sleeping outside for 6 days and smell like it. And it was just on. The dude that's tracking all this, and we'll get to the more of the inside of it. He was tracking all the ones, rightfully so, getting fired over celebrating, cheering on Charlie Kirk's assassination. 40,000 mainly educators, mainly teachers. Those same teachers that fund their union that's been putting this political crap all over us. So you don't want to talk politics, then this is what your future looks like. Your future is going to look like those George Floyd riots burning. Your home's going to be next. Your business is going to be next. And as we said, and as Charlie said, your kids are not, maybe you weren't either. You weren't taught the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, because if you read all those documents, it will tell you that Second Amendment's there to protect all those First Amendment on up and the first 10 declarations in the Constitution was there to protect you from a tyrannical government. It's nothing to do with hunting or anything else. Just a bunch of dumb white hillbillies that just want to have a bunch of guns, and what do you need them for? To protect your right to freedom. So you don't want to talk politics? You're de facto burning the flag. You're pissing on the grave of the 1.5 million men and women who've fought, bled, and died for this country, for you to have what you got today. So the choice is yours, like Charlie Kirk said. And we're debating the topic. And we will bring it up. And we will call it like it is. It's not teachers' unions, it's teachers. Unions cannot do a darn thing. It's people, objects, guns, cars, video games cannot do anything people do. Living things do. And they are responsible for the actions, the good, bad, and the ugly. I know a lot of people can't handle it. But Charlie Kirk's assassination is getting more people awakening. And as Erica Kirk said, you don't know the fire you just lit off. But then again, that's going to be up to each and every one of us individually. You don't think it's in the schools? You don't think this is pervasive in a society? You don't think this is on the Disney Channel or all those whatever Discord sites or whatever video game sites the kids are addicted to? Teacher allegedly showed Charlie Kirk assassination video to 10 and 11-year-olds, told students he deserved to be killed. It's not a teachers union, that's a teacher. Teachers union cannot speak those words, cannot show your kid the Charlie Kirk video and tell your kid he deserved not to be killed, assassinated, politically assassinated. And if you're going to allow that, and if that becomes the democracy, if you want democracy, if 50% plus one of us say political, if we don't like you, well, let's say we don't like teachers, go assassinate them, you're dead. That's your democracy. That's your fascism. That's the rhetoric you're putting out. That's the rhetoric your kids are getting 35 hours a week. That's become the dominant. There is no. You can go back 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Teachers weren't tatted up, earringed up, didn't come up with that. And I would say most teachers, even that day, were women. So if you did get, which I did back in my day, force the political issue even in the classrooms. And I'm even saying you should. You should talk politics in the classroom, just like Charlie Kirk did. Debate the topics. Fourth grade class with old lady Hanson, which we went round and round every day. Had the debate about like that guns and trapping and farming and killing animals so you can eat them. I took on the whole class 30-1. Wasn't afraid. Wasn't afraid what everybody else might think because I knew it was right. I knew I was standing on the right principles. And was not afraid to defend my position. That's what Charlie did. This is in the university. So yeah, you go to grade school, elementary, to university. J. Perk, a professor, you can't force people to mourn someone who hated us no matter how he died. It's okay to be happy when someone who hated you and called your people death dies even though they are murdered. Yep, good riddance, vote. He was their Rush Limbaugh replacement, referring to Charlie Kirk. And if you counter that, in the old days, your teacher most but this is how business really runs. Your competitor wants to kick your ass. And it must crap that usually is disseminated on this. Back 50 years almost. But it's absolutely 1000% preventable. But even as we rock and roll through this whole sordid facts of details, hopefully the renaissance coming out of the Charlie Kirk assassination will be a turning point, as the name of his organization was. We can only hope for that. Harvard, one of our biggest school institutions, Lawrence Tribe, supposed to be big Harvard professor, probably on a, or people put him on a stature of the more publicly known Alan Dershowitz. But he's now like professor emeritus at Harvard Law School. He took this down, but Kirk's apparent assassination seems to have been ultra mega, exploding the GOP MAGA attempt to pin the blame of this tragedy on liberals and so on. Then the coward, once he, like a lot of the posts that were trying to hang this, oh, he's a Mormon and they're very conservative in Utah. And he was, now we find out Robinson had another boyfriend, Twiggs, which has been reported. People were asked, well, how these two living in a, basically no jobs, living in a very fancy 3-room apartment. Turns out it's owned by the Twiggs family partnership. Yeah, the little furry dude trying to turn into a, or thinks he's going to turn into a woman. Never forget what teachers did to you, and probably did to these kids. Merrick Garland of the Biden Attorney General, Justice Department, instructed FBI to treat parents that were against their kids being indoctrinated with trans ideology as domestic terrorists. They wanted more Tyler Robinsons created. Think about that. Think about that. The next time you say you don't want to talk politics, or I don't want to hear this, or I want to tune out that, or I don't want to participate, Or I'm scared maybe somebody else will do it. Again, do you want that knock on your door by the police officers or the headlines? Mr. and Mrs. Robinson are.
A day after Charlie Kirk's murder, we're here at Georgia Tech University in Atlanta, Georgia. And the first thing I see when I come to the campus is the fall of the Trump fascist regime beginning November 5th, 2025. Refusefascism.org needs to be investigated. 2028 is way too late. Trump must go now. If you walk with me here, we have another sign. This is the scary part. The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime beginning November 5th. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. All over the campus, similar signs. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist.
So you're seeing it. Kamala Harris in your classrooms, posted all over your universities, school campuses, far and wide. You see the pride flag with the no or the rainbow colors? You're seeing reports of the subculture that's encouraged the political assassination of people that don't agree with them, the little rainbow crowd. This is reality, everyone. Harmeet Dillon, responding to Laura Loomer, who said it's time to defund American universities. You don't need to go to college. Charlie Kirk didn't. Whether you need to go or not. Harmeet Dillon, Attorney General in charge of civil rights for the Trump administration, says, I'm on it. And all the other haters at our America-funded schools. Harmeet Dillon's turning out to be a real treasure. And there it is. Andy No was reporting it. Big 3-bedroom apartment. Andy No's saying it's owned by the Twiggs family partnership. There you go. Want to give a big shout out. Even the sports teams, Green Bay Packers, Yankees started it off. Bristol, Tennessee at the NASCAR race, all acknowledging moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, Chris Bell, who won at Bristol, Chase Elliott, who put up very big words of support. But this is Saturday night, like you've seen World of Outlaws, USAC CRA here at Paris last weekend. This Mullins race engines, they build lots of race engines for Saturday, the guys that are racing every Saturday night. Remember, the first event after the COVID lockdowns was a sprint car race in South Dakota. Mullins Race Engines wants everyone to know where we stand and as an American company. After the events of the last couple of days with the death of Charlie Kirk and the Ukrainian woman killed on the train in New York, we want this to be known. If you are willing to support the Democratic Party after this absolute ignorance, we as a company do not want anything to do with you. We do not want your business. We do not want you calling here. We don't want you ordering stuff off our web store. We do not want your name in our system, period. This goes for the vendors as well. We are currently buy products from you and find out your upper management is in support of the Democratic Party. We will no longer be buying your products. enough is enough. Now that is taking a stand. Not making excuses, not sugarcoating it, not saying I don't want to talk politics or anything. Mullins race engines should be multiplied by tens of thousands and millions of businesses. Do you have guts enough to stand up and do it? As Karl Marx said, accuse your enemy of what you are doing as you are doing it to create confusion. They're doing a damn good job of it. That's what they're. It's not confused kids. It's kids being confused by the video games, by their teachers, by the education system, by us as parents and community members and grandparents, not standing up for them. It's beyond any sort of Greek tragedy or anything else that goes on, because man, this stuff has flat got to stop. Under no uncertain terms. We cannot let them win. We cannot let them burn down our cities, our homes. Normal people don't act like the ones that shot Charlie Kirk, participated in the George Floyd riots. As the picture is on the right, normal, caring people with a conscience, feelings, love in their heart are on the left. And we need to keep that in mind. Because if we don't, they will burn everything to the ground that's ours, or they will take it from us and make it their own. And they don't care how they, whether they're enslaving you, whether they kill you, whether, as the great Mason Weaver said in his book, you will live on the plantation as slaves. It's some very interesting times we live in. And I hope that inspiration I hope that fire starts burning. If it isn't already, if it isn't burning, I hope it starts. If that fire is within you, it needs to burn hotter. or you will see more of this.
America, refusefascism.org, followed by a sign that we already read. This is happening all over this campus. So you got to ask yourself, when you see posters like this nonstop, what are they advocating for? Are they inciting certain events that we have seen recently? The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime. The time has come. I want to say that again. The time has come. That is what left-leaning organizations on college campuses at Georgia Tech are propagating to college students. So when I walk around and I ask students, do you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk? And they say no, it's most likely because of stuff like this.
That's the entrance to Georgia Tech University, as you've seen up there. Follow the President Trump fascist regime. Holy cow is all I can say. Again, I hope the resolve people are starting to show grows stronger with each coming day. And all you have to do is look at Charlie Kirk with that shirt on that says freedom. If you're thinking you can't go on, if, yeah, we got this from here, Charlie, means anything, because Charlie can't carry the flag anymore. It's up to us. And I hope people take that to heart, take that responsibility, and put it into practice like they've never done before. It's going to be some interesting time. There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some exciting times. There's going to be victories. There's going to be defeats.
Yes.
But one thing for sure, is we better do it with our boots on.
Got about 30 seconds, Roy.
You got it. Kelly should be calling into you today.
Okay.
Sean,
No calls yet. I'll give you a message when she does.
You got it.
All right, here we go.
Lily Hoedown around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday. Live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire. And the aforementioned AM band, join your vast video audience. I think only...
I got Dr. Kelly.
As we said, we usually are on all the other ones. We were for the first part of the show. It kicked us off all of them. So note to you, Sean, just be ready in case we get dumped on the Zoom broadcast feeding into you, but we should be back on Facebook on that. But man, what a week, what a weekend, whirlwind from the whole thing. And I just want to get her in right away and get her thoughts on this. But as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined her, the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19 and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Hey, Roy. Thanks for having me. It has indeed been a really tough last week. Obviously, lots to talk about, certainly not the least of which was the horrific assassination of my friend and patriot, Charlie Kirk. It's been a tough last few days. My thoughts and prayers continue to go out to his family and his young children for this really horrific event.
1000%. I mean, if anything, and I've said this, if we pick up the torch that Charlie Kirk handed off to us a couple days ago, Charlie Kirk lives. If we don't, he dies. And it's really just that simple. I mean, it's up to us. I mean, no more excuses, no more, I don't want to talk politics, or my school or my teacher's doing great. It's everybody else's problem. One day, you could be the next one that's waking up like Mr. and Mrs. Robinson did to the cops knocking on your door, and the headlines all about you and your kid, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree 100%. Number one, this is a time for action. You cannot sit idle. And that means a number of different things. It means, number one, standing and verbalizing your support for Charlie Kirk and what he stood for. You don't have to agree with everything he said. You don't have to agree with all of his positions. But hopefully you agree with the concept that free speech, that open, robust debate is important, that focus on family, on faith, on God, and being a strong patriot, that those are important things to our society, and that is never, a strong society never celebrates death, regardless of your political views. And when you do, those people who have been caught, who have been found celebrating or posting these, truly repugnant memes and posts on social media, there needs to be a social cost to those people. So you need to assume that mantle as well. There are many things that we are now required to do in Charlie's death. I am thrilled to see that the number, I believe that prior to last week, the number of Turning Point USA chapters, I think, was at 900 nationwide. They had
9,000.
9,000. They had 32,000 applications for new chapters since his assassination. That is important. People need to stand up, speak out, and I said, hold accountable those people. You don't have to share the same political views with somebody, but you have to share common decency, morality, ethics. I can't think of any time in history where I would applaud, laud, or make a joke about the murder of another individual, particularly someone with a wife and young children.
The one thing, not that I'm surprised, but I hope it wakes up a lot of people, especially those who have kids, whether they're in TK, pre-kindergarten, to our finest universities. I hope they get down to those schools, school boards, find out what's going on. We had a vigil here in Riverside last night. 19-year-old, 17-year-old, a 15-year-old said, if you don't know it, they are indoctrinating us in these schools with this hate. At Georgia Tech, we ran the clip of the guy that says at the entrance of it, the downfall of the fascist Trump regime or something, and the rainbow no on Trump and all this other stuff, and everything that's run around this subculture that we are allowing, that really wants to, they're either going to take us by force or break our will. And that's the way I see it. And that's what they're doing to your kids. That's what they've been doing for your 20 years, from Merrick Garland, the Attorney General under the Biden administration, under the teachers. Randy Weingarten sent the letter, and teachers, not the teachers union, teachers. Teachers sent in and said, we don't want you parents questioning anything you're doing at our schools, at our school boards, nothing else. Go arrest them, Merrick Garland. Put them in jail. Put them in the gulag. You better get down there and stop this. Or this is, again, we're at that turning point. This is the way I see it. Which way do we want to go, Dr. Kelly?
No, you're spot on, Roy. And the reality is the mask is off now after this Charlie Kirk assassination. Because if you spend any time at all on social media, I don't care if it's TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, whatever you choose, teachers are overrepresented in those who are gleefully posting memes and celebrating the assassination of an innocent man. These are the people who are indoctrinating your children. These are the people who are trying to sideline parents and eliminate parenting from, imposing the, moral attributes to your children. These are the people trying to tell your kids to hate America, to disrespect their parents, to believe in this transgender ideology. And when you look at the absolutely repugnant memes and posts that have been made by people, as I said, teachers are overrepresented, and I'm sorry to say, so are healthcare professionals. Nurses in particular and have been posting. These are not people who should ever be in a position not only to teach your children, but God forbid, to care for you when you are ill or injured. Can you imagine if that nurse or doctor who is posting these hateful memes found out that you were a Republican or a Trump supporter or a Christian or somebody who didn't believe in transgender ideologies, someone who homeschools your kids, and I could go on and on. These are people. There has to be a social price to pay for this kind of behavior, and that is where we are going to, I think, win this war, because I'm not talking about fighting back with violence. I never would support violence, but there has to be a social price. So I will tell you, I am in full favor of these people who have been outed on social media losing their jobs. And there are thousands of them, Roy, teachers, nurses, doctors, people in government jobs, and God forbid, anybody in the military or their spouses posting things that support political assassination. And let's be very clear, that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. This was a political assassination. Losing their jobs, that's a good place to start. Making them unemployable, even better.
I addressed a little earlier, but I hope this gets the notion of, I don't want to talk politics, or I don't want to hear about that, or I just want, do you not watch not only what you're being indoctrinated with, but what your kids are being indoctrinated, not only with schools, the 3x5 screens, the absolute sexualization of your kids through those video games, through Disney, through all this other stuff that they're being bombarded with. And I just read, book reading is down 50%. And we can all guess, we don't have to even guess. We know why that is, because kids don't build a rocket to fire up in the air. They don't read a book. They don't read the comics. There's nothing. They're sitting there getting hypnotized by this stuff. It seems like 24/7, 365, Dr. Kelly.
Right, and let's address, the elephant in the room as well, Roy. Obviously, there are many, many details about this horrific assassination that have yet to come to light, and I think that we will learn more in the weeks to come, or I certainly hope we do. But the reality is this, that at a minimum, we know that the shooter and those people surrounding the shooter were once again, wait for it, part of the transgender cult. What is now being called Transtifa. They are a cult. And I've said before, and this is not Kelly Victory's opinion, this is medical fact. Unfortunately, people who in the transgender community, more than 50% of them in most studies have been found to be autistic or on the spectrum. These are people who have underlying mental health and social issues that make them very vulnerable to manipulation. They are disenfranchised. They don't fit in well socially. They are easily fall into groupthink and into the mob mentality. And this is, what are we on? Number 6, 7, 8 number of violent attacks that have been perpetrated by somebody in the transgender cult. We can't ignore that. And the fact that the teachers are pushing this on kids, I believe, is part of that. They are trying to push so that they have a larger and larger group of soldiers, quote unquote, of manipulatable people who will go out and commit heinous acts in their name. We have seen, as I said, the last half a dozen at least shooters have been transgender or associated with that group of people. That doesn't mean I hate trans people. It doesn't make me a transphobe. It doesn't make me a homophobe. It doesn't make me an anything phobe. What it makes me is a teller of the truth. We have got to acknowledge what is actually happening and call it like it is. Otherwise, we don't know where the enemy lies.
1000%. I think this says a lot of where we're at. This is from Karl Marx. Accuse your enemy of what you are doing as you are doing it to create confusion. Dr. Kelly.
Yes, I mean that has been the sine qua non of the Democrats. They constantly, whatever they criticize you of doing, they call you a fascist. It's because they are being fascist. They call you a whatever phobe. It's because that's what they're doing. They say you're not being inclusive. It's because they aren't. The left, the progressive left, they claim to be the party of tolerance, the party of inclusion. They are the least tolerant people in the world. Let's face it, Charlie Kirk was murdered because they could not tolerate his viewpoint. Okay? They couldn't tolerate being in the same space with someone who had a different opinion than they had. They couldn't tolerate being around someone who was an effective communicator, an effective debater, somebody who showed the fallacy and the flaws of their arguments. That's why when kids would, saunter up to the microphone and throw out some accusation at Charlie and he would take them down, he didn't do it out of hate. He did it out of exposing the flaws in their own argument. He would ask them questions, and they would leave feeling silly, feeling foolish, feeling like they had been, made a fool of or humiliated because he exposed the flaw. And the left cannot tolerate that. They cannot tolerate anything that is out of, their little very, very isolated group of thoughts and feelings. And they are the least tolerant people. So as Mark said, everything they claim that you are is exactly what they are and what they are doing.
One thing, and not to denigrate hard work, I mean, some things are hard, physically hard, mentally hard. But it brings back, and I think this is where we're at in this time and kind of what Charlie was doing. It's not necessarily working harder, it's working smarter. We need to be a lot more cognizant of what's going on. We need to put more thought into it. We need to put on top of that, and then put that plan into action. And that's how Charlie got the organization to 9,000 on college campuses, and now it's exploding. And in order to make those other 32,000 chapters, which is a fourfold increase of what they got, run efficiently and smoothly and be effective, we definitely need, all of us need to work smarter, Dr. Kelly.
100%. And people are going to need, unfortunately, to do that uncomfortable thing, which is to take action. A lot of times it's easy to sit back and nod your head. You listen to somebody who's speaking, whether it's at a rally on campus, or it's somebody who you're listening to on the news, or it's, an op-ed that you read and you nod and say, yeah, spot on, or I really agree with that, or that was well said. It is now time to do more than that, Roy. You can't just nod your head and say you agree. You need to act. We need the mighty throngs to rise up. We need a powerful army of Charlie Kirks. We don't all have to be as articulate as he was. We don't all have to have that sort of amazing way with young people that he had. But we've got to act now. It's not enough to just nod your head. You know, you can't just sit on the curb and clap as the heroes go by. We need to all stand up, find our inner Charlie Kirk, and get out there and do what you can, whether it's speaking with your family, whether it's speaking at your church, whether it's speaking out at your school board, whether it's standing up to the teachers, whatever it is. We need people to stand up and to fight, because we are at war. This is no longer just a spiritual war. This is no longer a theoretical war. We are at war, and the left wants us shut down. They want us silenced, and they won't stop at putting a bullet in your head to make it so. I pray every day for President Trump. I pray for Bobby Kennedy. I pray for Marco Rubio. I pray for those people on the front lines who are high targets, you know, for these people. It is time. You've got to stand up. We cannot let fear stand in our ways. And as Charlie Kirk and Bobby Kennedy both said, there are things worse than death. And living as a slave and living in a country where we have lost our civil liberties is one of those things worse than death.
I think it's time that we all get to be big, beautifully, bold, and brave. I think that's, people just got to get, people need more spine. They've got to develop that. They got to develop that toughness. And as Bobby Kennedy said at the vigil last night in D.C., you know, there's, you know, you got to, you know, there's, you have no respect unless if you're not willing to die with your boots on. And we need to have that. We need to rekindle or strengthen that spirit, the spirit that built this country, Dr. Kelly.
Well, I agree. And as I said, I don't take it lightly. I've said for a long time, if people ask me, as high profile as Charlie Kirk or Bobby Kennedy, no, clearly not. But I've been on the front lines, and people ask me, you know, back when I was fighting against the legalization of marijuana and taking a lot of heat for it, or, you know, fighting against other things, the passage of Obamacare. You know, people said, don't you worry about your safety? And I say, no, I really don't. No, because I don't want to live in a world that where I have to worry about that, and where I have to, because I agree with Charlie Kirk. There are things worse than death, and that is watching this country, watching the greatest experiment go down in flames. That would be worse than death to me. I don't have children. So I'm not looking to protect their futures. I'm looking to protect this great experiment called the United States, called America, called a democratic republic. This is really what we are protecting. And I have far more tolerance than the left. I have far more inclusive than the left. And I'm willing to fight for those things. I'm willing to fight for people's right to live as God has dictated that they should, to raise their children according to their own viewpoints, to praise and to celebrate their religion as they see fit. I support our Constitution. I support our leaders, and I will not live in fear, and I will not shut up. So try to silence. They haven't been successful yet. And although they silenced Charlie Kirk, they set off a mighty throng of voices in orders of magnitude that will accelerate what Charlie was doing.
Got a couple minutes left. Anything else our audience should know about?
Well, I'm watching very carefully, as I always do, what's going on with HHS and with what Bobby Kennedy's doing. We are continuing to see, unfortunately, horrific data regarding harms from mRNA vaccines. And the only good news that comes out of that, Roy, is that it will hopefully ultimately result in these shots being pulled from the market. We had a victory in Washington State recently. An individual who sued the state of Washington for losing her job over refusing to get vaccinated, who won a sizable sum. There are I believe 200 and some other people who are lined up now suing the state of Washington. We are going to start to see, I hope, states and municipalities pay the financial toll for having imposed these draconian and unconstitutional mandates on people. It's the right thing to do. So some good things happening on the HHS front and on the legal front.
Thanks for being on. Dr. Kelly will do this again next week if I don't choke to death in the meantime.
Take care. Talk soon.
You got it, Dr. Kelly Victory, saying it only as she can. Of that. I agree. I mean, you know, we're at one of those turning points. If it took Charlie Kirk's assassination to do it, I think he'd tell us it was worth it. He would pay that price. Again, if given the choice. Again, it's up to us to carry on that torch. I hope Erica Kirk is 111% right. You don't know what fire you've lit off in her, across the people of the United States of America, even the world. Look at the big turnout, which I'm sure was double or triple what it was going to be in London at Tommy Robinson's Freedom Rally, over 100,000. And Elon Musk come in and said, fight or die. Can't say much more than that. We're going to catch some of the locale stories. Maybe if our well, there we go. Corey Jackson caught playing video games instead of working, it appears, or was posted. We asked the question. Looks like he was playing video games sitting in his chair as the assembly member representing District 61, or 60, excuse me. We used to be 61. As we said, that's mostly Moreno Valley, Paris. San Jacinto, parts of Hemet, and Romoland, Nuevo, and some of those really rural areas left out here in the IE. Something else going on. Rialto cops netted an arrest for a $50,000 real estate fraud scheme. They arrested a Paris man in that, so we shall see what that was. The old 6th Street Bridge down in LA that was what cost $1 billion, some ridiculous amount. Copper theft, graffiti plagued the now dark 6th Street Bridge. They've had more problems. The hoodlums with the street, there's bridge takeover, I guess you should say, in that. Chick-fil-A has Cookie with a Cop coming this Saturday, September 20th, 8 to 9:30, with Rancho Cucamonga Police Department. So if you want to hang out with the cops and tell them the good, bad, and the ugly, let them know. They ID'd the hit and run victim who was hit in Banning earlier this week. That's from Inland Wire. Assemblyman Carl DeMaio says voter ID reform would make voters trust the election process more. Remember, first, let's vote no on 50. Then we'll see. We'll change some of these politicians. Then maybe we'll have a shot like Corey Jackson. If you get rid of the Corey Jacksons, maybe we will get voter ID. Investigation going underway in the toilet paper torched in a Walmart in San Bernardino. Yes, TP was torched in a Walmart in Berdoo. Holy cow. For those who like to refer to Charlie Kirk as a fascist, just know assassinating people who think differently than you is peak fascism. Had the visual last night as we covered on IE Newswire. Yeah, Shin, a device for finding furniture in the dark. Nothing could be further from the truth. World of Outlaws, we're at Paris Auto Speedway. Bill Baylog won. The World of Outlaws, RJ Johnson was king in the USAC CRA main event. Props to all the sports teams, racers that supported Charlie Kirk and made mention of him. Does our heart good. Take it away, Sean. That'll do it for today.
All right, Roy, take it easy.
I don't know. Zoom went off twice.
I didn't.
Before
No,
he
it,
came
it
on?
didn't. It didn't for me.
Yeah, it seemed to do because it threw me off of Facebook and Rumble and X, I think, but it kept me on YouTube. It stayed on, which I go
Okay.
directly through X. I don't know what's. This is about the third or fourth time in the last 3 or 4 weeks has played this crap on me. So I don't know if it's an XSplit problem or a Zoom, but the Zoom meeting keeps going out because it keeps coming back on saying, "Oh, you're like it's restarted."
Yeah,
And
we
then
just gotta. We just gotta. I'm trying to. I gotta put it in here in the next couple of weeks. But we just got a new mini computer for the studio here,
okay,
and wanted to tell you about it. And Jesse will probably talk to you about it also. Might be an idea for you to try over at your place. To try replacing
right,
one of the computers because it was only about $350.
really,
Yeah, and it's really fast. It's got Windows 11 on it, and it's
right.
it's really fast. So
So you're just using like that to receive stuff in,
yeah. I'm
right,
not sure what it might help replace like one of your streaming computers or something like
right,
that. You know what I mean? But
right.
it might be worth a try. You know what I
Sure. No, I
mean?
mean that sounds like a good idea.
And it's seriously, it's about the size, a little bit bigger than a wallet. I'm serious. I mean, it's not very big at all, but it's got a really fast processor in it. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. It's got
Right.
it's really good for the money.